Change is afoot. There's a lot moving and shifting. We're right coming up to a solar eclipse on April 19th, 20th, depending on where you are. And we have a Mercury retrograde happening right after, as well as Jupiter changing signs for the year to come. A lot is moving. A lot is shaking. There's a lot coming up to the surface to be cleared. There's changes of your trajectory that are going to happen with this solar eclipse. We've been in eclipse season for a couple of weeks. You can feel it already. This will go on past this eclipse as these changes don't happen right on the day. It's more like you're going down the street and you've taken a wide turn and now you're on a new street, a new trajectory. It's really a new timeline. It's a soul calling, a time of growth, a time to shake out what's not working anymore. These eclipses agitate us on a soul life level so that we will step up and start to live more on our soul's trajectory, more in line with our soul blueprint. They are not always comfortable. The more we can accept the unexpected changes that come, the easier it is to move with it and go with the flow. You're going to have to keep your sea legs on and do your best to stay very grounded during this period of time. And stay very true to your purpose so you can make really clear choices. Hi, I'm Prema Gurreri, and welcome to Chart Your Path. I'm so glad that you're here. I bring you updates on the energy that is happening and what's to come. Full moon, new moon, the monthly energy. If this is resonating for you, then I encourage you to go ahead and hit subscribe to my channel here so you don't miss any of my updates. If you don't know what your Vedic astrology chart is and your ascendant sign, there's a link down below to my free chart calculator where you can get your chart and understand what your ascendant and what your moon is, because that's what you want to pay attention in listening to these updates. Also, the Sacred Wealth Code quiz, the link is down below. It's free and you'll get one of your Sacred Wealth Code archetypes. And I am running a special for eclipse readings for the month of April. The link is down below. So if you want to know how all this energy is affecting you personally and what you can best do to navigate it, then you'll want to grab a reading with me. The solar eclipse on April 19th, 20th, depending on where you are. You can look up that time exactly. For me, it's the 19th. I'm in the Pacific time zone, and it is at 6 degrees of Aries in Ashwini. And this, we have been feeling this has been palpable. We've been feeling this coming on. This will only be visible to Northern Australia, Southeast Asia, and some parts of the Pacific. And but we will all feel the effect. It is a very important eclipse, as solar eclipses shift our trajectory. They shift our path. We also have, in the same placement of Aries, Mercury is there going retrograde right after the eclipse. So is Jupiter moving signs. So there's so much moving and shaking. We'll also have some, also Uranus is there as well, and Mercury and Uranus are lining up. So lots of change. And in order to navigate this period of time, I want to encourage you to be able to be breathing deep, stay grounded, keep your schedule as light as you can to deal with the emergent energy as it happens. And of course, I'm going to give you a lot more detail, but I just want you to know that coming up front here. Now, Venus is in Taurus during this time, and Venus is our great connector. Venus owns Taurus, and it is a stabilizing factor. Taurus is a fixed sign, and it's going to be something that's going to help stabilize this period of time. Will it stabilize all of it? No, by no means. But I'm going to encourage you to lean into that Venus energy of love and connection and diplomacy and divine connection with yourself, and then connecting with others from a heart place will help you navigate this time. So what is an eclipse anyway? An eclipse is when either Rahu, the magician, or Ketu, the mystic, which are 2 points in the ecliptic of the moon, They are shadow places, shadow grahas, when they come in between the sun and the earth. So they cast a shadow either on the sun or on the earth. This is casting a shadow on the sun. It's a solar eclipse happening on a new moon. And this is a time that's kind of foggy and stormy, and things are not necessarily clear during these periods of time. So they create change. They're agitating the nodes of the moon. The eclipses are agitating two areas of life, Aries and Libra, for the last year and through the October eclipses that we'll have, agitating those areas of life to shake out what's not working anymore, have us release it, relinquish it, let us go, bring in new opportunities. The Magician, the solar eclipse, is pulling us out into the world in some ways, and the Mystic, the full moon eclipse that we'll have on May 5th, is going to be asking us to relinquish and to let go and become detached from certain things. It's always an unpredictable period of time, so you don't want to necessarily plan important things during this time. We can have extreme weather. People can have extreme emotions and reactions. You have probably been noticing emotions coming up that need to be processed. Remember, with emotions, the only way through is through. You've got to go through them. So if they're, coming to the surface, you want to breathe through them. You want to maybe process them verbally with someone. You want to look deeper to what is actually the beliefs that are behind those emotions and resolve those. It can be a confusing period of time and a complicated period of time. So the simpler you can keep life during the eclipses, the more bandwidth you'll have to deal with the emergent energy and the things you'll need to make choices about that are unexpected that come up during this time. Also, with the eclipses, it's really the trajectory of time for the next 6 months. So there'll be unexpected things that will unfold based on this solar eclipse for the next 6 months. The lunar eclipse, it's more like in the time of the lunar eclipse things come up. So it's like driving down the road, you're going down the road, and all of a sudden you notice finally that things kind of look the same, but they don't. You've been going down, you've taken a Y off to the right or to the left, and you are on a different timeline. Things are different. Your soul has kicked you in another direction, woken you up. Maybe you've had to deal with some things along the way, and maybe there's some new and exciting things, because this can bring in new opportunities for you. It's a growth opportunity, either which way we look at it. It brings things from the dark to the light. It shakes up our world. It jolts us out of our comfort zone. So we will be willing to grow and do things differently. And things come out of the shadows. And in coming out of the shadows, that's where things are more unexpected during this time. It is the growth aspect, the access of growth and change, the turning point in your soul blueprint, in your chart, in your soul's timeline. It's going to push you to do things differently. It's going to kick your feet in a different direction. And that's going to be based on what Aries represents for you, although I'm going to talk about it collectively here, and what Libra represents for you when it comes to the lunar eclipse, which I will bring you an update for. That's why getting an eclipse reading, you will know then, okay, this is the area of life. And it's not just the area of life on what Aries represents, but do you have planets there? Do you have planets near 5-6 degrees there? Or do you have planets aspecting there? We have to always look at things holistically when we're looking at a soul blueprint. Some doors will open and some will close. And the big key here is to accept the changes that come, to receive them, and do your best to not resist them, because it'll just make it more difficult for you. Some of the changes that are about are things that you really do want to have change. And some, I know for me, I've been feeling this, I can tell the path is shifting. I understand how it'll shift potentially, because I know that where it is, what house it's in, it's going to hit smack dab on my sun. Identity is going to shift. That's going to be for all of us, but for me, it'll be at a deep level. It's going to hit a couple other of my planets. So I have a sense of what is changing. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the unease about it. So I'm also, because of that, and I want to suggest this for you too, it's not the moment to make long-term plans about those things that are shifting or what I feel is not quite right anymore. So take notice of that for yourself. Give yourself time during these eclipses to do some soul searching, to really pay attention to what's coming your way, what's falling away, and what's trying to hook you but is not for you, because those things, and that can be the magician, Rahu, the north node of the moon, can do that too, and that will waste your time and waste your energy, and it'll complicate your life. So you've got to be careful of where is there unnecessary complication that I'm signing up for. That you want to not sign up for, okay? Complication may come your way because it's a complex period of time, but be careful of taking on anything that just feels like too much. If you have a choice about it, I would take a step back, wait till the storm of the eclipses passes, and then you'll be able to see things more clearly when the light comes back in. It's a shadow period of time. We don't see clearly in a shadow period of time. So it can be a little unnerving, all right? And that's why your spiritual practice is very important during this time. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where we need to sit down for meditation and get on the yoga mat and do our exercise, and don't succumb to checking out. Really check in. This is an Aries. This is our identity in some way, an identity shift. It's the beginning of the zodiac. The beginning of the zodiac on a collective level. It's where we're going to want to birth something new. And especially with Jupiter coming into this placement for the next year right after this, we're going to want to birth something new. I have been advising to know what it is that you can get conscious and know about as we come into this eclipse period of time, of what you are going to be working on birthing, so that you can just be very methodical and put your attention there, because it can get confusing. But it's a new time for all of us. It's an exciting time, but at the same time, in this sort of rebirth of identity, it's also can be a bit confusing, okay? Now, a new beginning is a great thing. And the sun, but it also can be a little bit scary because it's the unknown. So the unknown is where everything you want is. If you knew it already, then, it wouldn't be something new and different, right? And the unknown is where everything we're afraid of is too. So we want to get more friendly with the unknown and get a little bit more excited about the unknown and learn how to navigate it. And that navigational point is within you. It's within you. It's your heart. It's your core gut. It's your intuition. It's your sense of really being able to feel what's right for you and what's wrong for you, and having the trusted people in your life that you can bounce that against when you are not sure. This eclipse will also, we're already seeing play out collectively, because it's the sun. And the sun getting eclipsed, which is the leader in Vedic astrology, in my archetype system. It's also the king. And this eclipse here with the sun, politically, we've been seeing it in the collective. There are shifts and changes happening with leadership. That's within yourself, but that's also within the collective as well. We're already seeing that playing out. There'll be things coming from the unknown and coming out of the shadows into the light. And that will play out in your life, and you'll continue to see that reflected out. Leadership is being challenged at this moment, and that is, truth can come to the surface. It's time to shake up the shadows. If you think back to 2005, I want to invite you to just note what was going on for you. April 8th of 2005 was the last time we had a solar eclipse in Aries. Every 18 and a half years approximately is when this eclipse pattern will return to the two signs that it was in previously. And history does not repeat itself, but as Mark Twain says, it is always going to rhyme a bit. So if you look back at the flavor of what was going on April, May, June, that timeline of 2005, there is a theme for you. That's clue. So you want to look at the clues and listen to the clues, because another beautiful thing about this particular eclipse is that because where it is in Ashwini, in the nakshatra of Ashwini, Ashwini is ruled by Ketu, and the nakshatra that Ketu is in currently in Libra is the nakshatra is ruled by Rahu. And whenever we have that, it's the past is coming to the present to complete itself. So reflecting back is going to give us some insights of what is coming up to completion at this period of time. Of course, if we're lasering it on your chart, we can laser right into it. But this will give you some really good clues. Ashwini is a place, a nakshatra of initiation. And whatever we start here has the ability to complete quite quickly. That's a beautiful thing. I'm going to talk about the nakshatras for just a moment. So we've got the signs, but if we look behind the signs in Vedic astrology, we look at the nakshatras. That's the groupings of stars that are in the sky, and then we lay the signs on top of that area of the sky that we call Aries, for instance. But by being able to look deeper into the nakshatras, then we can see things more clearly. There's more detail, and we can really identify more of the energy. So most signs have a nakshatra that bridges the two signs together. It's like a bridge. But between water and fire signs, there's no bridge. Or fire and water. So there is, Ashwini is the actual starting nakshatra of Aries and of the zodiac. I'll talk a little bit more about this when we get to Jupiter transitioning in just a moment. So hold that thought, but let me get back to Ashwini, okay? So this is a place that it means horseman, okay? And it's very active, and there's a thirst for life and an awakening of consciousness and a lot of movement to this placement. But there's a lot of volatility too. So when there's a lot of movement, we can have a lot of volatility. Mars rules this placement, rules Aries, and it is a martial placement. Creative, but also we have to watch out for the explosions that can happen here. Now, the representation here is the mystical doctors, the healers that bring healing energy down to earth, the physicians of the gods. And it is said that they also provide a cure and give solutions, and they help to clear up any confusion here in Ashwini. So not necessarily on the day of. Again, remember, the eclipse is going to play out over the next several months. And the main energy here is dharma, it's purpose. So what I want to invite you to, in this identity shift in Aries that you're going through at some level, there is this, there's a deep amount of healing that can come up, and you're going to want to tune in deeply so that you can make more sense of the clues that have been coming to you, because they have been coming to you. Again, K2 gives us the ability to release our attachments. And in releasing those attachments, we make space for what's new. And that's what the magician, that's what the North Node of the moon is wanting to bring in for you. This can be on a mental level, a physical level, an emotional level. Okay? It's a time to look within, to pay attention to your intuition. Look at the signs that have been happening. Pay attention to the ones that are coming. You're getting clues. The answers will be coming. The more you can be present in the moment, not impulsive. Don't give in to urgency, which is different than unexpected things presenting themselves, which they will, that you need to be present enough to deal with in the moment. Stay grounded. Pranayama, breath. Be open to receiving the downloads. Give yourself the time to do that. My birthday is April 19th. Eclipse is happening right on my sun. I've taken the day off for meditation, nature, and yoga, for opening up and for receiving during this time. If you can create space like that, I have my own business, I can do that in any way, whether that's for an hour or whether that's the day for you. I really encourage you to do that. Otherwise, during the eclipse season, I like to say chop wood, carry water, meaning keep things routine so that you don't have to make a lot of extra choices, because I guarantee you'll have to make different choices. Things will arise. Not all the opportunities, and this can bring in opportunities, not all the opportunities that arise during this time are for you. The magician has a very tricky way, the north node of the moon, as it's pulling us out into the world. It's more our material wealth, and that's all fine and good. We need to live on this material plane, but it can make us go very wide and broad and get interested in a lot of things, and can complicate our life in that way. And it'll rob us of, we have to have a certain amount of bandwidth, so it can rob us of our bandwidth and having enough to actually move forward on a particular trajectory, or on 1, 2, or 3 trajectories at the most. So watch out for that. Sometimes you get opportunities that are good for someone else, but they eat up your time and energy. So be careful about that. Make sure they're aligned with your purpose. Very, very important. Take really good care of yourself during the time, but I want you to get excited too, because you're up for this is a consciousness shift. This is an awakening, and it is collectively for all of us. And those of us, you're in particular soul groups. There are things that we're all attending to, and as we're being called out with our social dharma, and it's time to birth something new. So give yourself the bandwidth to open up to what's coming through for you. And where it's challenging, you got to put your sea legs on. Accept it. Make peace with what is, and really ask yourself, what's in this for me? What's in this for me for what feels challenging during this time? And if you want more insight, book an eclipse reading with me. You'll find a link down in comments or descriptions. And Jupiter on the 21st is moving into the same placement, Aries. It'll go through the Gandanta point. This is sort of back to the nakshatra lesson. This is where there is no nakshatra bridging. And when a planet moves from one sign to another, fire and water, where there is no bridge, a nakshatra that bridges both of them, it sort of, there's a hard stop and there's a hard stop. And in between, it's kind of like going to 2 different rooms, but you're in the hallway. So you're not really in one place or the other. It's very liminal. It is a time to get downloads and insights, but it can be a little bit unnerving. And whatever Jupiter, our great teacher, our great sage, represents for you, and overall teaching and knowledge and spiritual wisdom and vision, it may be hard to sort of pinpoint. There are karmic things for you that may be untying, maybe releasing during this time. So it's a great time to do clearing. It's a great time for meditation. It's a great time if you feel a little out of place, or a little bit like things are just, you can't pinpoint them. That's okay. This too shall pass. I will bring you a video on this Jupiter transit in Aries. It's going to be there with Rahu until October, and then it'll be there till May of 2024. So it's a very, very Guru Chandala Yoga. It's a very expansive, creative, and complicated period of time. So I'll bring you a video on that, but just know that change is happening. So it's adding more to our changing puzzle now. And then we've got our Mercury retrograde. So wherever Mercury retrogrades for you, it's fire signs. Fire signs, and you can look at your chart for that, are either dharma placements, that's purpose, relationship, or wealth, or spirituality. And those retrogrades this year are happening in a triplicity of fire houses, which are either all dharma, moksha, artha, wealth, or their kama relationship. So you're going through a theme for a year, reevaluating whatever fire signs mean for you in that way. For all of us in some way, though, the fire signs are relationship houses. We want to really watch our communication. Take the precautions of Mercury retrograde. Weather can be turbulent and challenging, so can travel, technology, communication. Back up your technology before then. If you're traveling, get travel insurance and keep your sea legs on. It's all an adventure. Things will change and shift, as Mercury does. But we want to use Mercury, and I'll be talking about more of Mercury retrograde in the videos to come as well. You want to reevaluate that area of life for yourself. It's going to happen on a soul level. So get your mind, your consciousness with that. And so you're taking a closer look at relationships, or maybe it's your intimate relationship house, or maybe it's your first house and it's your purpose, so that you can work with Mercury. But really watch your communication. Use your good Venus during this time, because Mercury and Rahu together that's a challenging aspect for communication. Things can really be misunderstood. We can be reactive. Our communication can be a little bit volatile. So take a deep breath before responding. And yes, if you can put off a important question till after the important conversation till after the eclipses, I would do that as well. And then also on April 22nd, 23rd, depending on where you are, we have a very important day, which is when the sun and the moon are both exalted. Now, typically this is a day where I say start something new. It's a very magical day within the year, but because we're right in the eclipse pattern too, I would say that it is still a magical day, okay? So if there is an important thing to do during this time, do it on that day if you can, because it's a very poignant time having the sun and the moon both exalted. We will also, as I said, have the lunar eclipse on the 5th, and that's going to be at 28 degrees of Libra. I will be holding a full moon healing circle on May 5th. That's link is down below, and of course I'll be bringing you an update for that. Take good care of yourself during this time. I want to hear where you feel like this is hitting for you, what emotions are coming up for you, any questions that you have. Put them in the comments. I answer all of my comments, and I appreciate you being here. If you haven't already subscribed or shared this or liked this, I really appreciate you doing that. And if you are wanting to know more deeply how this and all the transits are happening for you, then go ahead and take that special offer eclipse reading or share it with anybody you think it would be of great service to. All right, so much love to you. Namaste.